Hello, everybody. Bambos and I did a teeth check before because we've noticed on a few occasions we've gone through half the show with food in our mouths.
No. We catch it in the show, and then Andy might say, "You got something in your teeth," while we're live.
Well, you've done it to me on a few occasions as well, so don't blame me for it. Wow,
you started it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
talk about not having any filters on the show.
there's never not a bad time. I mean, are you one of these people? If I'm on the road and I see someone's zipper down and I don't know who they are, of course I go right up to them and say, "Hey, your zipper's down."
They'll be like, "What are you?"
I mean, do you do that or not?
Yeah.
I mean, if someone's got toilet paper like hanging from a back or something, I'll always mention that.
So today we have Stephanie O'Day.
O'Day. You have no O'Day, Bambos. And Stephanie was, again, I went back to the pool of people when I'll check out Facebook an interesting post. And I'm always interested in some sort of subject areas or things that are curious to me. And in 2008, she made a New Year's resolution where basically she says, "I'm going to slow cook the entire year." And then from that, just that resolution, her whole world sort of shifted because books, websites, a lot of activity came out of it. So there's a lot of elements to the story I find really interesting. We're going to discuss all of that, Bambos, and much, much more on what is it? Tell me. Speak to me. Wonderful chaos. So, Bambos.
I had an interesting morning.
Did you?
Yeah. I met, when I came out of my celibacy in 2020, I met this wonderful woman.
Okay.
And she was going through her own trauma as soon as we met. Something I sensed in her, but she was still suppressing it. And then it came out that she was sexually raped when she was a child.
Wow.
6 or 7 years old. And in that time, I kind of decided I've been with enough women in my life, or I always attracted women that needed healing.
Yeah.
And I always stepped into that role. So when I met this specific woman, I said, no, I'm going to break this pattern.
Yeah. Okay.
So we met today and we had a beautiful conversation around that. And it was really nice.
And there wasn't any resentment or anything towards you about you?
You know what? In the beginning, it was because she didn't understand it. But having spoken made it really clear that it was an act of loving myself.
Yeah, and not pushing her away per se.
It really had to do with me saying no to that pattern.
Yeah, that's one thing we discussed. Sometimes when you word stuff, people react to it because you say, "I don't want it."
Yeah.
As opposed to, "I want this in my life." And then "I want" is less effective. Yeah.
I'm learning.
Thank you. That's nice.
I really like this specific point has been a big game changer for me.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
We've discussed it on a few occasions, so on and off air.
Yeah.
So Stephanie, I found her. Is there anything else you had?
I was going to say she looks like a cook.
Doesn't she? Look at this. The funny thing is she does look like a cook, and it says yummly underneath there. And the funny thing is that because of that smile, both Bambos and I were more sensitive to our own teeth, and we had to do a teeth check. So that's how good the picture was.
My sister says, "Why are your teeth always so white?"
Oh, really? And my wife says, "Why are your teeth always so yellow?"
I'm scared of dentists, I tell her.
So you take good care so you don't have to go. Oh, by the way, so it's just before we get to Stephanie, I had a date today with one of our viewers. I'll leave them nameless, but they said, "Hey, listen, if you're walking and you're in the neighborhood," so one of our viewers that watches very regularly, I just had a walk with them today. Don't name names.
Who's a viewer that?
Who's a viewer that you might know? We'll talk about them off air, but we had a really nice talk, and it was really funny because I said to them at some point, "Hey, what about that show?" And she says, "What do you think? I watch every show. I don't know that show." I thought it was very funny. So
you found Stephanie.
I found Stephanie, and I thought it was really sweet because the one thing that I've seen in my life was that, especially last year with all the stress, I've seen it impacted a lot of people very differently, and they'd often regress to behavior that kind of was that coping behaviors, because you lose control, and when you lose control, you'll fall back on old patterns often. And sort of one of my old patterns was just not eating consciously. Just yeah, I mean, hey, like when
I mean, it's the one thing that
Mm.
you are consistent with
Yeah.
is that.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it didn't change. It just I was even less conscious than I was before, right?
But do you know what I admire about you?
What?
You you will go on a, let's say, a diet which is not serving you, but
Yeah.
at some point you'll feel it in your body in such a way that you flip the other side, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you do
sure.
and then you do a juice fast for a month.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's not a very healthy way of living. I'm sure we'll discuss that as well, because that's why would you get to that point? But I'm not particularly concerned about it, which is if I put more effort into it, it would be better. But I guess the other thing I was getting towards was that when when one doesn't like take care of themselves at a time when they're under stress or pressure, then I think that's the moment when you discover a lot about yourself, because all of a sudden you're like, hold on, these things are occurring to me that I forgot happened. So I thought it'd be nice to talk to her a little bit about the slow cooking, and how maybe that is one way that people could alter their eatings.
Mhm.
And it's also slow living. So I saw a lot about cooking, less about living when I did the background on Stephanie. I mean, I could just tell you, outside, she's been on all the TV shows, Good Morning America, the Rachael Ray show on Oprah.com. So basically, she's got a lot of publicity around this experience of cooking every day with a slow cooker in 2008, and then developing an entire life around that, which is quite fascinating. So that's what we're going to bring on to discuss around.
And we're gonna do that one.
Did we announce? We already announced it. Bombas is always messing with me, because we always do our intro, and I always forget if we did it or yet.
You
Have we done it?
Yeah, we did.
Even then, I don't know.
I made you say it.
Oh, that's right.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hello.
good morning, good afternoon, good evening,
I was
whatever.
gonna say-
Good morning to you.
I was going to say, you're the one who's really going for it. It's 5 a.m. where you are. Help me understand. Help
Good
me
morning.
understand. Like, how do you wake up at that time and feel like, okay, I can do this?
Lots of coffee. I get up at 4. And first of all, I want to thank you for having me. So I love how the internet works, and I can meet people from the other side of the world, and somehow there's some sort of like a magnetic connection, and we find each other. And what you were talking about of having the foundation in place to take care of yourself in times of stress,
Mm.
you're speaking my language. So
Yeah.
I look forward to talking to you about that. But actually, getting up at 4 is one of the ways that I pay myself first, because I've got 3 children. I've got a puppy, and I've been married for 21 years. And so the only time I have to myself is downstairs early in the morning. It's me and the coffee pot, and I can think, I can meditate, I can go within, journal, sort of plan out my day before people want something from me. So I get to set myself up before there's do this, do that, mom, sign this. I need this. Now the dog's barking. And so I can
So you
just
get
sort of
like
center
you
myself.
you get like 2 hours a day free. Would that be right to say?
About, yeah. So my husband gets up at 5 and joins me downstairs, but we're very aware that he's on this side of the counter and I'm on that side of the counter, and he's doing his thing, and we don't have small talk. So that's the best thing about being married for a long time, is you don't have to talk to each other.
Who's the ornery one in the morning? I just need to ask
Who's
that.
the what?
Who's the one that doesn't like mornings, you or him?
So I think we both like mornings,
Okay.
but we both have so much we're trying to accomplish
Yeah.
in a limited amount of time that making
got
the
it.
small talk messes up
100%.
our brain flow.
Yeah.
Like there must have been a kind of crash. Like if I tune into you changing your routine, like I need to claim 2 hours a day at least for myself, or I'm gonna go
Mm.
crazy. Like,
So
what was
the good news is I no longer go crazy. I I have a lot of systems in place to keep that from happening. So I make a conscious decision the night before what time I'm going to wake up. So I have a different routine depending on whether or not I get up at 4, 5, or 6. So if I'm going to bed and I'm not feeling the best or I stayed up too late, I'm happy to shift it. And then I truly just don't try to cram as much in. And by cramming as much in, we're talking things like scheduling social media posts and answering reader emails. So it's not neuroscience in any way, shape, or form. It's help me with my chicken crockpot recipe. So,
if I can just
I promise I'm not changing like huge
Yeah, no
momentous
fundamental stuff. Yeah.
Yes. No. And there's no actual thought involved.
Yeah.
but my actual question, Stephanie, was help me understand, before you went into this routine, who were you and how were you living life? How were you feeling in your body?
Okay. I see what you mean. Okay. So I did start the slow cooker site in 2008 and it went really well. And I was doing a lot of things, and had tiny little baby children in the house who now are older. And
But
and
when you started this, did you have any intention of it becoming anything larger than it did? Or was it basically me saying, I'm going to make a resolution and just do this? And then all of a sudden everything happened. Like, was there a lot of thought before, or was it just a spontaneous decision?
There was thought because I had to find a legitimate way to work from home and make
Uh-huh.
some money because we
Uh-huh.
live in the San Francisco area and it costs too much to live here.
Yeah.
And I had been teaching preschool and
Okay.
was able to bring my children to work with me. But the little one at the time, she was a little shy of 2, she kept vomiting sporadically and we didn't know what it was. I wrote it off as daycare germs and kept bringing her to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, it was too much. And so I quit. And I knew and my husband knew that's not okay. We need to find a way to replace this income. So I had been, and granted, this was like back in the olden days of the internet.
Yeah.
Facebook was only for college kids. There was no Twitter, there was no Instagram, there was no Pinterest. YouTube wasn't really a thing yet. But there were women online writing what was called at the time mommy blogs. And so they were getting ad revenue and sponsorship and different things like that. So I liked the idea of that, but I'm actually a really private person. And so I don't share my kids' pictures online. I don't share their names online. I try not to share very many private details of where we live and all of that kind of stuff. So I liked the idea of a recipe site because it's very search engine friendly. Google is giving the people what they're searching for. And I am not a good cook. I just throw things in the crock pot and push a button and walk away.
Yeah.
So Christmas of 2007, we went to a Christmas party for my husband's work, and I probably had way too much wine. And I came home, and I'm just kind of joking around, and I'm like, I should start a Crockpot blog. And so that's really how it started. And the reason I chose a New Year's resolution was I wanted an end date. I didn't want to do this forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
I wanted the beginning and the end. And just so you know, and your listeners and viewers know, my daughter's fine. It ended up that she had celiac disease, which is a gluten intolerance, which everybody knows now. But back in the old days, it wasn't as prevalent. And so not only are all the crockpot recipes easy and from scratch, they happen to be naturally gluten-free. So again, Google was very helpful in that. And at the peak of the website, I had 2 million viewers or visitors a month. And so the ad revenue was great and the sponsorships were really great. But to answer Bombas's question, the shift happened It's funny. I blame the Kardashians and I blame Gwyneth Paltrow a little bit, kind of tongue in cheek. So once celebrities realized that there was money to be made on the internet
Yeah.
and they all started having their own websites, advertisers no longer wanted to give the mom blogs money because why would Coca-Cola fly me to Atlanta, which they did at one point when they could have a Kardashian. So all of the ad revenue kind of dried up. And around that time, my grandma was starting to get sick, and I was
Mhm.
helping to take care of her, and I was helping my mom out a lot. And then, so all of kind of 2016 and 2017, I stepped away from the internet to help take care of grandma, and then she died December of 2017. And the problem with the internet is you have to constantly feed it.
Yeah.
It is exhausting. And around that time, the Instant Pot hit the shelves. And I've got my book agent and the publishers and my readers clamoring for Instant Pot recipes. And my agent is saying, there's easy money here. Just do all your recipes in the Instant Pot. Come on, go, go, go.
Yeah.
And so I bought it and I hate it. I just hate it. It's not my thing. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. So I had this like little voice from God saying, just because you can do something fast
doesn't mean you should.
mean you have to.
Exactly.
So I'm sure I threw away thousands of dollars, but I want to like who I am.
Can you help us understand what was it about this Instapot thing that didn't work for you?
So as I said earlier, I like to get up earlier in the morning. I
Uh-huh.
like to get all of the chores over and done with and then do what I want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
And cooking isn't like, I don't have Zen moments. I don't get super excited getting dinner on the table in a frantic, like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock rush. And that's what the Instant Pot gives you. You can put a frozen chicken in there and 45 minutes later,
Yeah.
your chicken is done. But for me, putting it on at 6 a.m. and then never thinking about it ever again until I want to eat is what is calm and relaxing to me. And then my children are
Hold on.
older
I
now.
I lost that for a moment. You have to
Go ahead.
So which version do you like and which version are you less enjoying? Because
I
I like eating, like Bambos turned me on to the pressure cooker where I shove and just throw vegetables in and press a button and 45 minutes later it's hot and ready. So I've got 2 of those downstairs right now that I use like for big events. I'm like, hey,
Yes.
guys, fresh food, and it's done. So is that what you're?
So all of that is great because that serves your lifestyle. My lifestyle in the afternoon and early evening is filled with homework, after school sports, cranky children, and a fussy puppy. So I'm truly not home and wanting to be in the kitchen or around any type
Yeah.
of food between 4 and 6 p.m. So the idea that I could come home at the end of a day's work and doing all the things to completely done dinner that I yielded the knife at 6 a.m. I'm not chopping vegetables in that kind of frantic frenzy. And my kids are older now, but in the beginning when they were little, it's actually not safe to have a 2-year-old stuck to your leg or a baby in the front pack and you're trying to get dinner going. So it was this calm, sort of peaceful, all of my chores, the kitchen is clean early in the morning, and I never have to walk back in for the rest of the day.
Beautiful. Yeah, I must admit, that's the way I like to live. If I can organize everything early and then not think about it and just have it done, like I'm in totally. The one thing I'm kind of curious about, I think it's interesting because I think when Bambos and I do the show, you see Bambos, I have to note, Bambos is using his hand things. It always seems a bit weird if we don't introduce them. He had some hand problems recently, so he's stretching to get the circulation back into his fingers. Just so you realize.
I'm fine. I'm a fidgeter, so I just assumed it was one of those.
I thought I looked like he was fidgeting as well. I was thinking I'm going to start using these things as well while we talk now.
I think it's great.
But often he asked, and I was curious because I had a similar feeling. Like I'm thinking there must have been this moment you stepped on the scale. You said, "Oh my God, this is terrible. My kids aren't eating well." But it's so funny as I hear you speak. It sounds like it was just like like how I live. Actually, I'm randomly going to start walking because I just have nothing better to do right now.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. So I actually behind me, because I'm upstairs. So I'm upstairs in my bedroom instead of downstairs in the office because I don't want to wake up the kids with a puppy. And it sounds really silly, but the puppy is like running the show right now, and we don't ever want to disturb the puppy.
Yeah.
So good old Sheldon. Sheldon is 10 months now, and he's a very good dog. But when he is awake, we all know it. But my vision board for 2020 was live slowly. And then the world stopped. So because of that,
One second. Live slowly. So
yes.
who were you before you made that vision board? How were you
Um,
behaving in your life?
so I was doing okay. I am a pretty aware person, but I really wanted the internet to stop asking me about pressure cooker recipes. So I wanted to shift from my writing to more a holistic approach and live slowly. So
So
I had
let me slow you down because I want to stick with this for a moment. So when you're going through life, you kind of chose what to do in 2019, and then it went so well that in
yes.
some degree it was like, oh my God, I'm over this. I'm on to the next one. But you still are known for that, I guess.
So that's the thing is that's the problem. I felt phony making up
Mm.
more pot roast recipes because does the world really need another pot roast recipe? But the way, I mean, it's ridiculous. I have plenty, but the way publishers and book agents and the internet is they want you to always come up with something. And I'm a real person. I am no longer really interested in pot roast recipes.
I think this is fantastic because I think, part of our show is that we call it a wonderful chaos because God forbid I'm going to do the same thing every day. So like if I had to talk about like wellness or I don't know, that I would go crazy.
The same subject.
And
having different people.
Yeah. So the fact that like we're together, this is maybe the first food related show I think we may have done in 160
We always
episodes.
talk about our food, but never about other people's
Yeah.
food.
So in a weird way, having you on is also unique to us here. So it's kind of funny to hear, yes, you made it big and now you're like, how do I get out of this?
So I have a serious question. What's your favorite crockpot recipe?
So for anyone who's starting out, I recommend taco soup. So
what is your favorite recipe? Not for anyone starting out.
Oh, wow.
My favorite recipe is when somebody cooks for me and I don't have to do anything.
Hallelujah. You know what? I went to a friend's house who's like the best cook. And basically I just made him food and I could tell it was crap, but he loved it. And he was like, he said the same thing. It says, I am being cooked for, and that's enough. That's just so funny.
So it's really interesting. My husband is still working from home and everybody's working from home because of the pandemic. Every once in a while, he'll just make grilled cheese, and it is the best tasting grilled cheese ever. And I really think it's because I didn't have to even wander into the kitchen and do all the stuff. And that is one thing. When you're cooking nonstop, your hands smell like food. You're smelling food all day.
Yes.
I'm just not interested in it. And it sounds horrible. And so I would go to like food conferences and trade shows, and all these like foodie type people are like, whoa, where do you think they sourced this truffle oil? And I'm like, I don't care. It's not who I am. Like I really wanted to do this as a New Year's resolution, and then be done. And it created this. And I'm so thankful to have had all of these experiences. But there was one time I said that I would appear on the Rachael Ray show in like as a last minute guest, and I flew into a snowstorm, and it was terrifying, and the plane is shaking and they're circling JFK, and I do the show and it went really well, and had an adorable dress that I love this dress, and I had my hair and makeup done. And the way it works when you're live on a segment is the second you're done, they're like, okay, there's a car waiting for you.
Mm.
So they take you back to the airport. I'm wearing way too much makeup. And so I'm changing in the little bathroom stall. And now I'm trying to wash my face with the cheap soap in the airport bathroom. And there's no paper towels. There's the hand dryers. So then I go into the stall to get one of like the toilet paper things. So I'm
Yeah.
drying my face with that. Now I have tissue
There's tissue
like
all over,
stuck
of course.
all over my face. And I'm thinking, this is it? Like, this is the glamour that like people chase. I'm like, this is not what I want to do. I want to be home with my babies.
Yeah.
And because of this snowstorm, I ended up back in a lovely hotel that was paid for in Manhattan.
Mhm.
And you'd think I'd be happy, but instead I'm like sitting on the bed, like rocking back and forth, FaceTiming my babies who are home. And it's just, I wanted to slow down.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So if we eliminate cooking time,
Mm.
it sounds like my brain still doesn't grasp how your life slowed down, because it still feels like you have a full-on day.
so I think the human experience is a full-on day. So I'm very aware of time management, and I have boundaries in place and parameters in place. So I now actually work a traditional 9 to 5 job,
Mhm.
and I run the websites. But I don't feel frantic. I feel fulfilled. I am choosing on any given day what I do and what I don't do.
Mhm.
I actually teach a group coaching course, which is geared towards moms. And I teach the concept of the peace pyramid, because at the end of the day, you just want to crawl into bed and you want to have this sort of calm, content. I rocked it today feeling. And especially for moms, it's tricky because people want all of these things from you. The
Yeah.
media is telling you you need to have like this Instagrammy lifestyle and be size 0 or size 2 and do all of the things all of the time. So if you read any sort of like traditional self-help or personal development book or course, they teach peace from what I call the top down. Is they're teaching you meditate, do yoga, become one with nature. Like all of the things which sound fantastic, but if you're trying to run a busy household
Yeah.
and keep humans alive, it really doesn't work and you feel like you're failing. And so I don't have it down here, but my pyramid starts with a bottom and we do time management first.
Yeah.
And then we do health and finances. And that's the very bottom. You have to have those pieces in alignment. You have to know financially what's coming and going in your house, or you will never have peace.
You
And
know,
then
I would love to touch this. I'm on a conversation with a friend last night who I've been talking to for several years now. And he starts talking and he's talking about concepts so far away and remote from everything that would be the basis of what you're now pointing at that I said, stop. How much did you earn last year? And then he looked at me and he said, 80% less than what I earned the year before. I didn't ask you what percentage less. How much did you actually earn? You know, and then and what you're speaking to, and which I think is beautiful, is that I was asking not because I cared about the number, was because I didn't see he was disciplining himself around how he was living against the lifestyle he wanted. Was it proportionate, or did he need to work more, or was he okay earning 80% less because his lifestyle, his health was in order and all that? So I'd love that you say this, because I think a lot of people don't just go back to the basics of what you said, your financial situation, your health, and your time management. I mean, and obviously from it, just to elaborate, was that his time management now changes, because I'm like, okay, if you understand that you want to earn whatever amount of money, and now you're spreading all your time over 20 projects which aren't bringing you anything, it gets really easy to prioritize your time management at that moment, which you can't if you don't have a criteria. So yeah, thank you, and sorry to interrupt.
No,
Yes.
no, you're not interrupting. So that's actually what my passion is teaching time and life organization to moms, specifically to moms, because I can speak that language. I understand the hormones. I understand all of the things. And so that's the bottom. And then the next level on the pyramid is organization and your relationships. And then when all of those pieces are in alignment is when you feel content, because you can have an absolutely awesome day at work, but if you come in through the door and all of a sudden you pick a fight with your husband or you snap at your kids, you're going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel well. Or if you come home and the house is in utter chaos and you haven't done laundry in 3 weeks, it doesn't matter if you're rocking it at the gym and you have 6-pack abs, if you have this chaotic frenzy within the house. So part of being a capable adult is really paying attention to all of these things, which kind of means slowing down by unplugging from social media, stop doing things that all of the people are telling you have to do, and unplug and sort of sort out what is working and what isn't working from your own household. And so the pandemic in many ways was really eye-opening and helpful because it put a huge magnifying glass on people's families and their home life and what was working and what wasn't working.
Yeah. There was interesting because, I have a book that came out last year that had a practice in it. And because you said that we should stay at least PG rated, I won't go into details exactly. But what the practice is that I ask the individual to state the thing that's hardest for them and follow it with, and it's effing great. So really, and as you spoke, one of the hardest things I found is for mothers to say, I'm a bad mother and it's effing great.
Yeah. So it's absolutely true. The pressure of momhood is insane. and I wish, and I married an engineer who's very linear and spreadsheety, and he's raising 3 daughters. And so I had to train him. He can't say, well, that's not rational, because none of it is rational. It's not. It's like a marble in a fishbowl, all over the place, and that is to be embraced. Because
how do the kids react to? How do the kids react to linear dad? Do they understand that he's linear, or do they get that he's like got some weird need for structure that they can't understand?
So they're now 19, 16, and 11. So the 19 and the 16-year-old still totally get it. The 11-year-old, 11 is a really fun age for it's a really fun age. So the hormones in my house are palatable. You can walk in and like, oh, we are having a high estrogen day. Like, you can just really feel it.
Are they what gender are the kids?
Girls,
They're
right?
all girls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And
all
is the
girls,
puppy
which is why we got Sheldon the
Is
puppy.
Sheldon a boy or a girl? That was the question. Now
Sheldon's a boy.
Okay, so he's got he's got someone on his side at least.
Yes, he does. And Sheldon is a basset hound. So he's the epitome of slow living. So it's like, let's be more like Sheldon. Let's frantically run around the living room for about 3 minutes and then take a nap for 2 hours. So.
Wow. Whew. It's interesting because I think I hear your questions sometimes in my head, and I hear what I assume where they're coming from. And as I speak to you, you're like a conundrum, because usually, like, the guests on our show have come, like the last 2 guests, we had one woman with a kidney transplant and another one that suffered like 4 diseases. So basically way more. There was yesterday's show. It was like, I couldn't even pronounce half the things that she was diagnosed with.
Yeah.
And their story was always about overcoming all these things and changing their lifestyle. And for you, the hard thing is, like, actually, it's almost like it happened so easy. It's like, it shouldn't be that. Not that it was easy. I don't want to imply that you didn't have to work hard to do it, right?
So actually I do coach women, and I think what you're saying of needing an identity And unfortunately, sometimes the identity is a health ailment.
Mm.
I don't agree with. I
Mm.
believe in you get to decide. If we're lucky, life is long and enjoy it. I sort of look at it as the actual board game of life. Like here you are and you're in your little square and you've got your little car and you can go this way and you can go that way, but
Mm.
you are completely in control. And I think people forget that. And that's why taking a beat, slowing down,
Mm.
choosing, like making a conscious choice of what you're going to do next.
Mm.
And
Mm.
and so I teach the concept to the women I work with of there's a pull and then there's a push. And follow the pull. And so you, Andy, my goodness, live your life that way. And it's lovely because you're not feeling like, oh, I have to do this because that's how I'm going to make money, or I have to do this because society tells me I have to. You're like, huh, I think I'm going to wander around for 4 hours today. And it's great. But what that has given you is the back of your brain chewing on what am I going to do next?
Yeah.
Huh. And it's a lovely gift that I actually wish all humans would take the time to give themselves, because otherwise life is going to throw a heart attack in your way, so you have no
Mm.
choice to
Yeah.
slow down, or it's going to throw a Tiger Woods driving way too fast and driving off the road. I mean, come on. The guy has everything in the world at
Yeah.
his disposal and he's constantly self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think it's beautiful. And as you speak, like, yes, I make light of my weight, right? It's never so bad, but it's bad enough that I like, oh, come on, that's not the man I used to run track, and I had all that lifestyle
Yeah.
behind me, so I know what it feels like to feel good in your skin.
You actually do feel good right now.
I do feel good now,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I have a lot more weight to lose. But the thing is
have
that
you fasted? So I can send you my book. I have a
yeah.
I have a fasting book, 246 Eat. And so that was one thing about the pandemic was I had 4 books in my brain that have nothing to do with crockpots, but I wanted to write them out.
Yeah.
And I work in the front office of a school and the schools were closed. So, and because I really do have a ping pong brain and I can't hold still, even though I preach living slowly, what I wanted to do and what my soul wanted to do was to write 4 books.
Wow.
But one of them is called 246 Eat. So I'm happy to send
Please
it
send
to
it
you.
over. I'm
Yeah,
totally there.
But it sounds ridiculous, but intermittent fasting and picking an eating window and sticking to it is one of the best mindfulness exercises that you can give yourself, because you're just
I
sort of
could
pausing.
not agree with you any more. Like when I did the intermittent fasting for a good month, I felt better than I'd ever felt in my life. And it's a pain in the butt to do when you start it, because there's a certain
Yes.
discipline that you take into your life. So Bambos is the healthiest individual I've ever met in my life, because he's absurdly disciplined and he does radical things to just he just stops doing anything for a long period of time. So he's my inspiration.
Okay.
But
So
yeah.
my fasting book is primarily written towards women and moms and how to reset their hormones. So ignore all of that part.
Maybe.
You never know.
But
You
I mean,
never
and
know.
Bombos, I'm sure, has done a crap load of research on this. But once I realized that the constant insulin release is triggering all of these other hormones, no wonder women especially get like that frantic, out of control of their body feeling where you're really like a Tasmanian devil and you're just trying to shovel stuff into your body to get that insulin sugar high again. And once you stabilize the insulin, the rest of your hormones stabilize also. I have a lot of women I work with who are in their 40s and early 50s, so they're entering perimenopause and menopause, and their bodies are like foreign aliens, and it really is a nice, healthy, holistic way to reset the hormones, and then you end up shedding weight that your body doesn't need.
Yeah, through the intermittent fasting, we're saying not well, fasting as well would do it, but I mean, intermittent fasting I found to be a very, very
Yeah.
incredible way to feel. You called it meditative, and I feel very much the same, and I probably is the same for you.
Yeah. So I have my black
feel that.
coffee here. So is that
Yeah.
what you do? So I drink black coffee, and then I switch to black tea, and then I switch to water. I like a lot of sparkling seltzer water, so I spend a lot of time drinking that. And then my eating window, because I work, is usually 4 p.m., 4 to 6 p.m. or 4 to 8 p.m., depending on the day.
4
p.m.
to
8 p.m.
Yeah.
That's when you.
That's when I eat. So I look at it as an eating window versus
Hold on.
timing.
You eat between 2 hours in a day?
Yes. So my book is 2,
4
4, 6, eat. So you pick your 2-hour window or your 4-hour window or your 6-hour window.
But I didn't realize that people were doing 2-hour windows. How many hours do you do, Bambos?
I eat around 9 in the morning and I finish around 2.
So that's a 5-hour window.
That's
Yeah.
a 5. And I train about 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And in that, and also you're young and you're healthy and you're a boy.
I'm actually not young.
Yeah, he just looks young because he takes such good care of himself.
But
Yeah.
I also removed all the carbs and all the sugars from including fruit and vegetable sugars and
Amazing.
carbs.
So you're in a constant ketosis state.
You might say that.
Yeah. So my husband has black coffee until noon. So his eating window is about noon to 8. And it's working fine for him. We're in our mid 40s, so he is not interested in going back to like 20-year-old Adam weight. But just by doing that, he's definitely shifted.
Oh wow!
Weight.
So even though he's eating what might be perceived as later till 8, that it's still better than those hours.
Because most people start their day with cream and sugar in their coffee, and then they've got a piece of toast, and then at 10 their stomach growls, and they have a granola bar or something. But they're constantly raising and lowering their insulin.
Yeah.
And so if you're just at a steady rate, your insulin level is the same and you don't have that frantic, I gotta eat feeling. So there are times when my stomach growls at 4, but I have to go to the grocery store. And so all of a sudden, maybe I don't eat until 6 or 7 o'clock at night, because what I'm finding is I can just kind of ignore the stomach growl and it goes away. It truly goes away.
Interesting. Yeah, I noticed lately that if I eat food with a lot of sugar in it, then I'll get acid reflux that'll start happening. So especially when I go to the U.S., it's quite fascinating. I won't often have it in the Netherlands, but once I go to the U.S., it just happens pretty quickly, just from wherever.
I think we pump like cotton candy smell in our air.
Yeah. We have some things. Bolalang, who's in South Africa, and he's always with us. We're just going back to a little bit at what we're saying about you and how you said just get the basics right, and then from there you can establish how you want to evolve. That he also pointed out that's counterintuitive, but it's true. Good time management, finances do give peace of mind. And I also see the similar with Iris, who's also here often. Exactly, I feel when the basics are settled, that I can grow and develop. Yeah, and Bambos and I have discussed that quite a bit, because last year, of course, when COVID happened, it wasn't easy financially. And it's really funny when I hear people like, I want to make peace with the fact that I'm losing everything that gives me any sense of stability. I'm like, why would you ever think that that's going to be yes, it doesn't feel good. You almost have to settle that so that you can begin to feel into where can I ground myself again, right?
Right. Well, and it's interesting because peace comes from what you can and you can't control, which is why you feel unsettled on an airplane, because you are completely out of control, and you feel unsettled on an elevator or things like that. But what you can control when it comes to your health or your finances is you can control how many steps you walk a day, which is what you're doing. You can control how much water you drink. You're fully in control of that. And honestly, if you drink the amount of water that they tell you you're supposed to drink, you're not going to be as hungry, and you'll automatically be lowering your calories and all of
No
that
shame.
other stuff. And
But
that's absolutely
but you know what
something you can
the
control.
issue with that, the issue, and this is what my deep frustration is that I've got to walk for 4 hours and I'm not going to find a toilet because of COVID and there's no bathrooms available, except for men, it's obviously easier. So now if I drink the amount of water that I'm actually supposed to drink, then I could be arrested for whatever sexual, because I'm peeing in bushes all throughout the city, you know? Like, is it the same for you? Or it must be the same for you.
It is, because I had 3 babies, so my bladder is not the same. So yes, yeah, no, that it's a real thing. I get it.
My favorite chapter in the book is me peeing myself, because everyone enjoys me sharing that, because somebody like you told me, Andy, you have to drink. I don't know what her proportion was. She says, take your body weight or your age and divide it by something. So I drank that much and I couldn't get off of PCH. So I peed like more than I ever have in my entire life, just because I couldn't park to pee. So it's so funny. I want to drink more, but I'm more anxious that I'm not going to have an off ramp to get it out of my system. Yeah. Curious. Yeah.
Bombos, how much water should Andy drink?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I in general don't like to think like that.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So if I'm thirsty, if I feel my mouth is getting dry, I'll drink.
Okay.
But you always have water with you. You always have
I always have water and tea, but it's because I want to drink when I feel that my lips are drying, then I'm going to drink. But I don't want to do it like, oh, they said drink 4 liters of water a day. Like that doesn't feel good in my body.
Yeah, but I'll go a whole day and I won't drink anything and I'll have a headache at the end.
Yeah. No, you drink coffee.
Oh, I'll drink coffee. Yeah, the whole day. So it's interesting because Bambos every day brings tea and serves tea every day when we sit, and I drink all the tea. You know, he could fill it up over and over again. I'll drink it.
I didn't bring tea today.
But that's the funny thing. I'll drink it if it's in front of me, but I would never, just because my system, I don't know, my system just doesn't ask for it. What I thought was curious is we had a guest on 2 days ago who had a new kidney. And when she got the new kidney, she said her craving for foods changed. So she didn't like sweets before, but all of a sudden with the new kidney, she was wanting to eat cakes and sweets, because that
cookie dough.
Cookie dough. Yeah, she'd eat cookie dough, half without cooked and half cooked. So in some funny way, she was saying there was this thing going on. My system was driving me in a whole nother way. In some ways, I feel like my system doesn't drive me to water until I get the headache. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that.
Well, what I would say is that in the case of Bambos, not drinking it makes sense for him because he's already taken care of himself. In my case, I should have it prescribed, because I'll do it if I know that it's something that, I need to do my 2 glasses or whatever a day of this at this time. Like, that's better for me given my lifestyle. But his lifestyle, he's already so much in self-care mode that adding to his self-care mode just doesn't make any sense, because he's already doing it so naturally. I'm not taking care of my body like he is. Yeah.
All right.
Or at least I have until now.
We'll see.
The big trip is the long, the 6-day hike over the west coast of the Netherlands I'm building up to this walk along the coast. So that'll be my big coming out party, I hope. If I make it.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
You'll make it.
Yeah. It was one of those decisions, like we said, that you just have the idea, and I think, and I work a lot like that. It's just, I have the idea, I feel it, and then I act immediately, where I think a lot of other people might let the idea, I literally had the idea and I had the hotel booked that night. So it went from this is going to happen to the hotels are booked.
Right.
And there's a feeling like of, it just, everything feels right. There's no reason not to, and every reason to. And so, and that feels to going back to the theme of the show of slow living. Last year, I let a lot of people have more access to me in the
Mhm.
sense of they needed something and I wasn't saying, what did I need?
Okay.
So when at the start of this year, I didn't plan it that way, but I did say I felt a lot of slowing down. And
Yeah.
I thought, I now want to say, this is how I'm living. So now when I walk 25,000 steps more or less a day. And if people want to meet, I say, I'm walking, join me if you want, or you can call and we'll talk while I'm walking. So
I
I've
love that.
basically shifted my life around how I want to be living instead of altering it to what others were needing or wanting from me. Yeah.
I
Nice.
think that's beautiful. I think a lot of people would benefit from doing that. I also wanted to point out when you said that you had a whim, yet you booked the hotel room that night and you
Mm,
followed through. That comes when you do have enough time to listen to your thoughts and to pay attention.
mm,
So some people say it's because they're having a conversation with God or a conversation from the universe or it's their intuition. But I think humans in general, we try and rationalize all of the thoughts and all of the things,
mm.
and there's good ideas and there's bad ideas, um, but when you've got a good one that makes your body really feel good, you should follow that path and see where it lays out. So like Oprah, right? She would call it an aha moment. So it's you can just kind of tell your body feels different when you sit with it. Like, that is a really good idea. I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah, I love
Mm.
that you're saying this now for two reasons. One, I I would not have been able to have made that decision if I didn't do the walking to begin with, because basically it was through that time that you just pointed out where I
Mhm.
created so much spaciousness that I could dream again.
Yes.
And that dreaming was what I lost sitting in the house doing
Yeah.
2,000 steps a day, eating junk, not
Yeah.
really look. So in some beautiful way, that what you speak to, I can very much identify was the spaciousness allows things to arise, which is what obviously is what happened and what made it so easy to run with it. And like Oprah said, that aha moment for me is I take those very I just I'm compelled. I didn't make the
Yeah.
decision. It was
Right.
made and now I just fulfill it. Yeah.
This is the
It's
your new
beautiful.
word.
It's what?
Your new word, compelled. You've been using it a lot this year.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
It's a
Actually,
good word. It's powerful.
Mm.
since you were in the US and you said you might start writing a book, but you said, I don't feel compelled to write it.
Yeah.
That was the first time you used it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did the second book, right? That came out last year, did really well. And
Mhm.
then I'm like, like the natural thing is to follow whatever you did with the next thing. And
Right.
then but you don't really realize this isn't the moment for the next thing. But somehow your brain on that like linear path says, oh, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
And I think what I saw was I wrote the second book because again, I was compelled to. I wrote the first book because I was so I laughingly said, well, apparently I'm now trying to do something which I'm not being driven by. It's not
Yeah.
the and that then funnily enough slowing down and doing those walks and making the walk the priority and not anything needing to happen outside of just that space has given a lot of freedom to me, which I feel like I've taken my life back, it feels like. Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm happy for you. I wish that for everyone. I really, really do. It's interesting. So where I am is I'm kind of on the doorstep of Silicon Valley, and you can feel the frenzy. People are driving too fast. They're honking. It's not a slow pace. But if you remove yourself from that and go up to the mountains or go to the beach, it's completely different. And
Yeah.
one thing about all of this remote working is I think people are really paying attention to what feeds their soul and what doesn't. And just because somebody somewhere has told you this is your path and that's what you have to do, it's okay to pivot.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think I learned the walking the walking meeting because I worked a lot in San Francisco area through the Tennessee Valley, and for me, I can't imagine not having that as a way of living, because you feel as if you're having a really intense conversation and you're in the middle of nature. Everything that comes out of you is more integrated with just the experience you're having, right? If you're stuck in a house with a horrible computer and 4 walls, it's a very different feeling that comes through your voice, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Which one of the 3 daughters do you like best?
So that actually comes up quite a bit in our house.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Does it really?
He was
they're
actually
always
just
trying
trying to trigger you about that.
like
No, I
pin
knew
each
she'd
other
know I was
against each
joking.
other. So I tell every single one every day that they're my favorite.
Oh yeah. Do you
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
But then
So
don't they tell the other one that mom said that I was the favorite?
Yeah. And it's true, because that in the moment they are all absolutely my favorite. So so what I say to them almost every day is, I love you and I'm proud of you and I think you're wonderful. And then I hug, and then in tiny little whispers I say, and you're my favorite.
Oh wow.
But I do it to all of them, including the dog. So
Are you watching, ladies?
Exactly.
Are you watching?
but they know. It's just
So what do you
the
tell your
best
husband?
part.
Yeah, exactly. What do you tell your husband?
He's
You're
a
my
good guy.
favorite.
God, he's such a great guy. So we met in high school, and
wow.
and that's not supposed to have worked out, obviously. And so that's one of those kind of following your gut and your intuition. Is everybody said, well, you're not supposed to marry your high school sweetheart. Well, that doesn't make sense. Well, that's not real life. But there was nothing wrong with him, and there was nothing wrong. And there was nothing wrong with our relationship, and we're absolutely not the same people we were
Yeah.
when we were 16, 17. We've grown, but we've grown in similar ways, and it's worked out really, really, really well.
Wow.
And
By the way,
so
that fascinates me, and we didn't get into it, but I would love to understand, like, if you had to say you've been with the same man from high school, 21 years, how many different men has he become in that time?
many, 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 many. And it's wonderful, because with every new job, with every new house we buy, with every new child, there's this metamorphosis. With every death that has occurred in the
Yeah.
family, you just become this other, more mature, wise person. And so, I mean, we're constantly joking, like, what the hell? Why did they say we could do this? We were tiny little babies. We had
Yeah.
no clue. Our cerebral cortex, it wasn't fully
Yeah.
formed, yet somehow it was working. And thank God our parents had enough wisdom to be like, you know what? They're not doing drugs. Just let them do their thing and see how it plays out. And it worked out really well.
In the 21 years, like, if you had to rate it from 0 to 21, which were the most difficult of those years if you take it from there?
So we've been married 21 years, together for 27. Probably the first year of marriage, I vividly remember we had this tiny little 1-bedroom apartment, and I remember sitting in the nook next to the refrigerator with my knees up against my chest, rocking back and forth, thinking, how the hell do I get out of this? Like, how do we return the gifts? How do I get out of this?
Wow.
Because we just young and impulsive, and the fights are just so more explosive in your early 20s than they are in your 40s. You're like, is that a big deal? It's really not. But it really is when you're young. So, but we were aware enough that we really are a good match. And
That's beautiful.
yeah. So now we're greatly looking forward to the kids moving out and being retired together.
Exactly. Been there, done that.
Yeah. Let's
now
get
we
our
gotta
RV. I totally want that RV lifestyle. I want to rent the house out for a year. I want to see every state, all the lighthouses, the original colonies. I want to see all of the things I was supposed to have learned about in school that I didn't. So
I love it. I had the dream yesterday. Like, I realized if I wasn't together with my wife and I talked about this one little 6-day trip I'm taking, I think, wow, I could see myself walking a year, no issue. Like just saying, I'm going south and I don't know where I'm going to end up, but I'll walk 25 to 30 kilometers a day and just see where I end up, that kind of thing.
Sahara Desert.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be my kind of, I've taken in my life, I took 2 years where I just backpacked and just said, I'm going to backpack and where, basically travel and it's funny because it always sounds so romantic, but after about 6 to 9 months, it becomes like a job, and
Yes.
all the romance and things you thought were really intriguing become so mundane and basic that you realize, oh, this is not what I imagined it to be. So in some ways, it's a life. It's like a job on one level if you're going to travel like that. I noticed, even though it sounds exotic to others, of course, who haven't had it.
I think that makes sense. I think anything turns into a job, and anything can turn mundane.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it's tricky because you have to continue to do all the things. Like we've got to keep the roof over our head. We've got to continue to pay the bills. We have to do all these things. And so even if you have a quote unquote glamorous job, the toilet will still get clogged.
I can guarantee you, when you were at your peak doing 2 million views a month, people looked at you in such admiration, thinking, oh my, I wish I could have a life like that. That's what I love about life, is that everyone projects onto the other person whatever they don't see that they themselves are. And you're thinking to themselves, how the hell do I get out of this Instapot?
Yeah. Well, no, so it's interesting because when I got started, there were quite a few women that I looked up to, and I thought they had absolutely everything under the sun. But one really good thing about marrying an engineer is all of the money got shoveled into retirement accounts. We are Scottish. We don't spend and all that way. And unfortunately, there were many who lived beyond their means, who overbought. Their marriages failed because it was a very high up and then a super fast down, which makes sense because it's the internet. Yeah, I mean, Google changes one little piece of code and you lose all of the people. So, thankfully, we had a good head on our shoulders and understood we're going to play with this. This is funny money that we're going to put in college accounts and retirement accounts.
We are over our hour, and you actually have to make breakfast.
Well, I don't eat breakfast, so the good news is that they fend for themselves.
Oh, did they really?
I will go walk Sheldon.
The 11-year-old as well.
Oh, she scrambles an egg. Yeah, she does a good job.
Oh, nice. I love that. Yeah, cool. Thank you for joining us. It was really great being with you. Yeah.
Thank you. I am so happy that I got to meet you.
Yeah, it was really great spending the hour with you. Yeah.
So have a great breakfast.
Yes.
Coffee.
Or not a breakfast. Have a nice coffee. Yes. And we send you both a hug. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Slow living.
Slow living. Oh, I didn't realize that through your walking, you had the space to dream again. That's beautiful.
Oh yeah, I've come up with great show ideas every day. I keep dropping notes down that I haven't told you about. Like, oh yeah, I want to do an hour on that show. I want to do an hour on that show. So there's a lot of show ideas that just come up, and I need to write them down, otherwise I'll forget them.
I'll call you when you're walking. We can discuss.
Yeah, I want to do a show on labels with you.
Labels?
Like labels, yeah. How individual labeling people, labeling things, how that labeling becomes stereotyping, and how that process works, and so on. Yeah.
Toilet brush.
What's toilet brush?
You.
What about it? Use it? What do you mean?
No, I labeled you as a toilet brush.
Oh, wonderful. So that was nice. I mean, it's kind of funny because we haven't met Stephanie, so this is our first time. So it's kind of beautiful to have these moments where you just check in with an individual who has a wholly different lifestyle. She's really, and the funny thing is with 3 kids, like, how could her life be slow? Really, in the sense of it's a perception of slow. It's like, how do I live in a way where I'm not rushing or I don't perceive myself? which I think is really
Mm.
what came out of it. I kind of think it's nice how I could hear our prejudices, at least mine. I'm assuming you had similar ones, regarding the idea that, oh, this is what a slow living looks like. Because she's not very, you can see she's active, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was,
When she said that, when she used the words time management, for me, it grounded in,
Oh, yeah.
in how I experienced her.
yeah, I got it. Sweet. Another week done, Bambos. We did it. We did it. Just you and me now. We'll see you next week. Next Monday, we had a show, but we changed the name of the show.
What's the show?
The show is, it's not on. You won't see it on because I haven't changed the words of it yet.
But what is it?
It's making peace with the fact that my family sees me on the show and I talk about things that don't make them comfortable. It's something like that.
You fucking asshole.
You're the one that said you wanted to do it.
I did?
Yeah.
When?
You wrote it in the thing. We don't have to do it if you don't want to do it. Is it there? Did I write it there or not? Is it there or not? No.
No.
The trap of authenticity. Okay, you're right. I didn't change it. Is the trap of authenticity on Monday. The next Monday is the one that I thought we shifted because you said we wanted to discuss things that weren't easy for you. But we can negotiate that.
I don't really care. Let's do it.
We're gonna do all of that. And
on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, yeah.
We have Stephanie Nicolau.
Oh,
We've had
yeah.
already, and this one is Raped at 25 and the Journey Afterwards.
So we're gonna talk to her really about like how it was to go through that experience and come out at the back end. And it's not like it's so far away. So that'll be really a pretty intense time, I'm sure.
Well, the funny thing is, I discovered this. She's been my friend, right?
Yeah.
And we had a photo shoot. And during the unmasking process, the tears came out. And that's when she first shared it with me.
Incredible.
So the fact that she's from Cyprus and even wants to talk about it in public is really a big deal.
That's beautiful.
That's trust.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Andy, episode 172, Stop Fighting Your Nature.
Yeah, that was a guy that I was interested through Gino Yu. Gino interest. I had a nice talk. He's in Vietnam, and he just said, let's just talk life when you fight your nature. And I thought, yeah, that's a great topic. Let's dig into it. Yeah.
Thursday, I play poker for a living with Brad Wilson.
Yeah. Can you imagine that, living off of poker? It just blows my mind. Like as a living, think about you know, if you go and someone says, what's your job? Well, I play poker, It's just fascinating. Yeah.
A million questions just hit me.
Yeah.
And then we have Unlocking the Emotional Brain with Niall something.
Oh, Neil. Oh, that's incredible. Yeah. You're going to love that one, Bambos. He's doing basically everything with the "and it's fucking great" work. Yeah. He has done a lot of coursework and a lot of study on how you trick the brain with an alternate reality and then rewire it. And he actually is, we're going to discuss to him basically what's the logic behind the whole "and it's fucking great." Like he's going to help me, right, us understand what is it that's really going on when you do that. Because that's basically all of his practices are based around that.
And we're going to do
all of this
guys,
and much, 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 much more
on A Wonderful Chaos.
Bye.